Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about data dictionaries. And basically what a data dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. So if you think about it as a dictionary, you look up a word, which would be the key, and the value would be the definition. So if you think about that, it's actually pretty straightforward. Okay, so what are we going to learn today with the data dictionaries? Well, we're going to create a data dictionary, obviously. We're going to show you the basic method of creating one. We're going to show you how to create one from an empty data dictionary. I'm also going to show you how to use the dictionary constructor to create a dictionary. And part of that is I'm going to show you how to take a list of tuples and then kind of convert those into a dictionary. And the same thing, we have two lists. We're going to use the zip command with the dictionary constructor to create a dictionary from that. Then we're going to take two dictionaries and merge them together. So the next thing we're going to go over is accessing the dictionary items. We're going to bring back the values. That's going to include returning all keys and a separate one to return all values, and then we're going to return both keys and values in their respective pairs. Then we're going to add and update items. So by doing that, we're going to add a new key value to a data dictionary, and then we're going to update a value. So we're going to take a key that has a current value and we're going to update that. Then we're going to go into removing items. We're going to remove items by key, remove the last inserted item, and delete items by a key, and then we're just going to empty the data dictionary when we're done. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to loop through the dictionaries. One loop's going to print each key, the other one's going to print each value, and the last one is going to print both keys and value. Now, this very last one is looping a nested dictionary, and if you don't watch anything else in this video, at least watch this looping a nested dictionary, because I think that's actually pretty good. And if all that sounds good, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a barbarian named Conan, who's 28 years of age, and he's going to carry a sword, an axe, and dagger. So how would we do that in a dictionary? Well, if we look up here, we have the sample dictionary, which is my dictionary equals key value, and then key 2, value 2, and key 3 and value 3. So following that format, what we want to do is we said we want our barbarian and we want a name. Okay, so we'll put a name in here. And then I'm going to move that over to here. So remember, we have our scrolly brackets. That's going to show us that it's a dictionary item. So we have the name, which is the key, and the value is going to be Conan, because we have a barbarian named Conan. So then we'll put a comma here, and then we'll end up saying that his age, which is his next key, and that value we said he was going to be 28, so we'll put 28 here, just to show you that it takes different data types. So I can obviously put Conan, which is string, 28, which is an integer. So it does take different data types. The next thing we want to do is, our barbarian will have weapons, right? And let's say that we want him to have a list of weapons, right? So we can say he has a sword, and then we can say that he has an axe. Then we can also say he has a dagger. And I can put this in and move my scrolly brackets over there. It doesn't matter, I just like to get them a little bit lined up, that's all. So anyway, this is basically your dictionary. So you have name key, Conan value, age key, 28 value, weapon key, and then the value of the list was the sword, axe, and dagger. And if I run that, I have name, Conan, age 28, weapon, sword, axe, and dagger. So when we run this, we're just hitting Shift Enter, okay, on that cell, and then it'll actually run that. And creating a basic dictionary is really that simple. So if I go down here and I want to create from an empty dictionary, how would I do that? Well, let's create a swordswoman, okay? So we'll do a swordswoman, and we'll do equals, and then we'll do the brackets right there, those squirrely brackets. And we run those, and see, it's an empty dictionary when we run that. But we don't want that to be an empty dictionary. We actually want that to be something else. So let's go with swordswoman. And we have the name. And then we're going to make this one Red Sonja. So we'll have Red Sonja. Okay? And then we'll end up doing swordswoman again, and we are going to want her age. And how old is Red Sonja? Well, let's say she's 21. And then we want to make sure that she's has her weapons. Okay. And I forgot to put my little quotes in there. And then she's going to have swords. And I'm going to sit there and run this. So SW swords. So when I run that, now I have name, Red Sonja, age 21, weapons, swords. So we just created a dictionary from an empty list. And doing it is really that simple. So the next thing we have is using the dictionary constructor. So how would we do that? Well, let's say we have a name, okay, and we'll just say that he's Lord Calidor, right? And then we'll say his age is 25, and his weapon equals an axe. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. We have the name, we have the age, and we have the weapon. Okay, so how do we make that into the constructor, right? Well, we'll do this. We'll do swordsman equals, and then we're going to take this and we'll do dict for the dictionary item, and then open and close that with the little brackets here. The curly bracket. Well, it's not a curly bracket, it's a parenthesis. So we'll sit there and have these parentheses right here, and we have our dictionary constructor right there. So when we run this, we have the name, Lord Calidor, age 25, weapon and axe. Really easy in a dictionary. So if I go down here, and how do I do this from a list of tuples? So we know it's a list because we have these squiggly brackets like up here. And then the tuples, we have the sword, we have 5 of them, an axe, we have 3 of them, and a dagger, we have 25 of them. Okay? So using the same constructor, I could sit there and say, actually, let me just run this real quick. And, we see we have the list with the tuples inside. So let's say that I want that to be a dictionary. How would I do that? Well, I can do armory, and then I'll use my dictionary constructor, and I'll call armory. So basically this armory is calling this up here, and then renaming it to armory, and then we're going to print the new armory. So if I run this, Now I got sword 5, axe 3, dagger 25. And you know, if you're trying to keep track of an inventory system, this would be the way to go, because you can say, hey, I got 5 swords, 25 daggers, and if I threw a dagger, for example, I could take just this number and turn it down to 24. And we'll show you examples how to change these values a little bit later. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these two lists, we're going to use the zip function, and then we're going to wrap that into the dictionary constructor to kind of combine those together so we can have a data dictionary of a sorceress. So how would we do that? Well, we would type in sorceress, and then we'll say it's equals, and then we know we want to use the dictionary constructor. We also know that we want to use the zip command, and inside that zip command we'll bring back keys and values because we want to combine those together. If we run this now we have a dictionary of a name, Queen Gurdon, age 24, weapon, telsmith. So it's actually pretty easy. So it doesn't get much easier than that. So the next thing we have is we have this nested dictionary inside a dictionary. Okay? So how would we do this? And we want warriors kind of combined. So if I go up here to the top, and I'm just going to copy my barbarian right here just to make this easier. And I'm going to go down here, and my warrior is going to be my barbarian right here. Well, we know that my barbarian needs to be in a data dictionary. So I'm going to add my brackets for my barbarian right there. So I have this kind of set up right here. And then my barbarian, I got to make him a string, right that. Okay, so I got my dictionary here, and then I got barbarian, and then inside barbarian I have my own dictionary. So if I go out here again and let me copy my barbarian one more time, I'm going to add a comma here, and I'm going to add another value. Okay, and instead of barbarian we're going to have swordswoman, and we had it read Sonja, and she's 21 and she only had a sword, so we're just going to bring back, and then this is okay just to show you that I have like a list just with that sword in there. That'd be fine. So, or I can take it out if you want to take it out, it doesn't really matter. I'll keep it in just for this demonstration. And if I run this now, cannot assign to letter hill, maybe you meant equal instead of equal. So that's what we did wrong. Because remember, when we do the key and value, we have semicolons, we don't have equal signs. So if I go up here and put my semicolon, and then put my semicolon right here, now this is a true data dictionary because I have a barbarian as my key, my value is this dictionary right here, and inside that dictionary I have the name, key, Conan value, and so forth. Then if I go back up to the higher dictionary, my second key is swordswoman, and she has her own set of value with inside her dictionary. So if I print this out now and run this, you see I have barbarian and I have the name and all his weapons and stuff. The second key is swordswoman, and then I have her own dictionary in there. So it's pretty simple how you want to do that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our swordsman and we want to add them to our warrior dictionary. So if I run this, we see we have the swordsman of Lord Calidor, and we have the warriors. We have the barbarian inside the warrior with his own data dictionary. We have the swordswoman with her own data dictionary. So it's actually pretty simple to kind of combine these together. So how would I do that? Well, let's think about that for a minute. we want to do our warriors. What do we want to do with our warriors? We want to update them, okay? So what are we going to update? So we put our little parentheses up there, and then we got to think what we want to update. Well, we want to update this data dictionary right here. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to put it right in here if I don't have to type all that out. Okay? And then I'm going to run this again. Now when I run this, here's my new warrior class, and right here we have name, Lord Calidor, age 25, weapon and axe, right? So we did add him to this dictionary. So adding to a dictionary to update it with the new record is simple as that. Now that we have all these data dictionaries created, how do we access those dictionary items? Okay, so accessing dictionary items, we have like a safe access, which is just like print barbarian. And we've been using that. So if I run that, I have the name, the Conan, the age 28, and so forth, right? So how do we want to sit there and just get this name out? Well, pretty simple. I can do print barbarian, and then I can do the name. And I run that, and now it just prints out Conan is what we want. So let's say we want to get the list of weapons, right? I'm going to copy this print barbarian command if I don't have to type it. Instead of name, I'm going to do weapons. And now I see I have a list of sword, axe, and dagger. Well, let's say I just want the axe, right? So I can copy the print barbarian weapons and put that out there again. And if I just want the axe, for example, we know that this is an array, so sword would be 0, axe would be 1, dagger would be 2. So I can just do a 1 here and run this, and it's going to bring back the axe. So even though that you have a list inside your dictionary, you can still, get that out by subsetting that. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to do safe access with Git. So let me run this just to show you my data. So here's my data dictionary. We're going to work with Conan. And let's say that I want to get the enemy out of here. And you're like, well, wait a minute. There's no enemy in there. You're right. There's not. So if I did print, for example, and I do barbarian, and I say that I want to get the enemy, which we know that's not in our data set, and I run this, it's going to error out because there's no enemy. Okay? So how do I fix that? Well, I can do barbarian, and I can use the git command, and then I'll open up my parentheses here and say that I'm looking for enemy, right? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't want an error or anything. I want to know that it's just not found. So I can sit there and say, if you don't find enemy, just say that it's not found, right? And now if I run this, it's going to say not found. And this not found, I can put anything in that I want. So if I put down like and subscribe, right, in here, and I run this, now it didn't find enemy, so it says like and subscribe. So basically this could be any message that you want. Now if I take this, for example, and let me change enemy to age, I know age is in here. So instead of doing like and subscribe, it's going to show me the age now. And if I run that, again, it just shows me the age. And doing like safe access is a better way of doing things. That way, if you're not sure it's in there, you can actually do the git command and just make sure that you get a valid output. So the last thing we're going to do in this section is we're going to print the key values, and we're going to print them individually, and we're going to print them together. So basically what we're going to have to do is we're going to print, and then we want to print the barbarian, and we want to look at the keys, right? So if I just want to know what the keys are in my data set, I can just sit there and say I want just to print the keys out of my dictionary. So if I run that, it has my dictionary keys, name, age, and weapons. And I'm like, man, that's great. So now I know. Well, let's say that I want to know just the values. So I can replace keys just with values, and then I can run that. And now it just shows me my values, which is Conan, 28, and then I got my sword, my axe, and my dagger, which is, a good way just to kind of see the values. Now, if I want to see them both together, what would I put here in values, right? Would I put like key values? Would I put, what would I put there? Well, we put items down because we want to know all the items that are in our data dictionary. And just remember, we have to put these open and close parentheses in there for items, just like we did for the keys and we did for the values. And if I run this now I have the name, Conan, age, 28, weapons, and then I got the sword down here, axe and dagger. So we actually have the keys and the values like listed out where we can actually kind of see what's in there. So let's add and update items. Okay, and so our barbarian here, if I run this, he's Conan, age 28, and he has his weapons. But Conan doesn't have a friend. Okay, so I do want him to have a friend. So how do I do that? Well, let's do this. Let's have it barbarian, and then we said we wanted him to have a friend. Okay, so we'll just do barbarian friend, and then we're going to equal, and then his friend's going to be Red Sonja. Okay, now I'm going to take this print barbarian command, and I'm going to run it underneath here just so we can see the update. Okay, so we're going to print it first the way it is. We're going to add a friend. Red Sonja is the friend, so we have the key and we have the value. Then for the print barbarian, we're going to print it after we add the friend. So if I run this, now we notice that we have the friend right here related to the barbarian, Conan. So Conan now has a friend called Red Sonja. So adding the item is, pretty good up to that. Okay? So now if I go and I want to update Conan to age 30. So if I print my barbarian out, he's only 28. Okay? He's been around a couple of years, so he's going to be 30 now. So if I do barbarian, and then I'm going to call the age, and I'm going to say that age is going to be 30 now. Okay, so our barbarian is going to be 30 years of age. And I'm going to take this print barbarian, copy that, and kind of put it down here if I don't have to type it out. And I'm going to run this, and it's going to update his age to 30. So you notice the first print, he's 28. We change his age to 30, and then the second print, we know that he's 30 now. So changing the data by updating it is really as simple as that. Alright, so now I'm going to show you different ways to remove items. So let's remove items by key. So we have the name, Conan, age 30, and we have his weapons, and we have his friends. Okay, so let's do this. Let's remove an item by key. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the barbarian, and then we're going to pop. So we're going to pop out a data element. And what are we going to pop out? We're going to pop out the age. And then I'm going to take the print barbarian command and kind of run it down here just to show you the difference. And if I hit shift enter, now we notice that we don't have age in the second one. We go straight from name Conan to weapons. where on the top it's Conan, age, then weapon. So we did pop out that data set. So removing an item by key is pretty simple. Now let's say we want to remove the last inserted item. Okay. So in this case, it's going to be the friend. So if I run this, our last one is our friend. Okay, and I'm going to take this print barbarian, and I'm just going to copy and paste it down there just to show you guys the difference. So what I can do is I can do barbarian dot, and we're going to pop again, but we're just going to pop an item, and we're not going to declare anything. We're just going to do the open close parentheses, and it's going to take out the last inserted item. So if I run it, it says barbarian's not defined. That's because I misspelled it. So I spell it correctly now. Now I run this, and now you notice Conan here no longer has a friend. Okay, so he did have a friend up here on the first one, but once we pop out that item, it's going to remove the last one. So that's why we have no friend here for our barbarian. Okay, so I guess that makes Conan sad. So let's go down and let's look at how we delete an item by a key. Okay, and we'll go down and we'll print the barbarian out again just to show you the difference. If I run this, we have it, the name Conan and the weapons all over there. So let's say that Conan, he's a pretty big boy. He doesn't need any weapons. So we can actually do delete barbarian, and we can do weapons. Okay? So we can delete the barbarian weapon. So if I do that now and run this, now we notice Conan doesn't have any weapons. Okay? He's just out there by himself fighting. Okay? We don't know much about him except his name's Conan now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to empty the dictionary altogether. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, if I print my barbarian, we see we have Conan, and what I can do barbarian dot clear, and that will clear out my dictionary. Okay. And if I go down here and I print barbarian again and I run this, now I notice that my barbarian is Conan, but then I say I want my barbarian dictionary to be clear. Now when I print it, I just have an empty dictionary. Okay? And it's really simple as that. Okay, so let's loop through some dictionaries. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to print the swordswoman out. And we have her name, Red Sonja, age, weapons, and sword. So let's say that I just want the key values. I can do for key in swordswoman, and I can print out the key. And if I run that, it loops through the name, age, and weapon. So I go name, age, and weapon. Pretty straightforward. So if I go down to the next one and I want to print each value, and I'm going to run that cell just so I can see the name, Red Sonja, age, weapons, and so forth. Okay? And now instead of printing the key, I want to print out the value in swordswoman. Okay? Now this is what I have to do different, because you remember that the key is going to be that first value, which is name, age, weapons, and sword. So if I just do it this way, this value actually is going to reference that key. Okay, we don't want that. What we want is we want to reference the values, and this is what causes it to do the values right here, is do a dot values and the open close parentheses. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to print the value, because now it's kind of referencing. So if I run this, I got Red Sonja, 21, and sword. So I got Red Sonja, 21, and swords. Now, just to kind of show you what I was talking about, if I took this dot values out, it's going to bring back the keys. So if I run this again, it says name, age, and weapons because this swordswoman is referencing the keys. So that's why we have to put the values in here. And now it's correctly referencing the values, Red Sonja, 21, and sword. So the value Red Sonja, then 21, then sword, so it loops through correctly. Now, let's say we want to print both the key and value. Okay, so if I run this, I have the name, Red Sonja, age, weapons, and so forth. But I want to do both, right? So I can do for key value in swords woman dot. Okay, so now we know that this is just the key, and we know if we did values that would be just the values, right? So how do we get that? Well, if you remember up earlier, we said we get the both by doing items. So we're going to call items. Okay, now I can sit there and print. And what am I printing? Well, I'm printing the key. And actually, I'm printing the key. And then I'm going to print out the values. Okay? The value. So I have key, key, value, value. Go ahead and run this. And I have name, Red Sonja, age 21, weapon equals sword. So it's actually pretty straightforward. The next thing we're going to do is look at the nested dictionary. Now, we already showed you a nested dictionary, so instead of typing this all out, I already have this kind of listed. So if you notice my weapons, they're all in list. And, I did that just to keep everything consistent. Okay? So I'm going to run my warriors here. And if I print my warriors now, it would actually have like a list of my warriors already laid out. But what I want to do is I want to sit there and, print these out in a loop. And I want it to look nice. Okay? So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to do this like for key, right? And then I'm going to do the value in warriors dot items, right? Items. Okay. And then I'm going to do that. And if I do the print, and then I do the key, and then I do the value, and I run this, it gives me the swordsman, Red Sonja, gives me Conan, Red Sonja, Lord Caligor, and it's kind of like listed out. So, that's a good start. But I really want it to lay out a little bit better, right? So how do I do that? Well, I want to print, and I'm going to do an F string. And let's say that I want to have a new line on this. So I'm going to do /n to make sure I have a new line. And then, what do we have here? So we're going to have the key in there, but we know the first key is going to be this barbarian, swordsman, or swordswoman and swordsman. And those are more like class roles. So I'm going to call that a role, okay? And then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to say I want that key and I want that title, okay? And now that I have that key title, I can sit there and close this out, okay? So now I don't need that quote there. So the quote should be here after the F string and then after here, and we have the key dot title and we have the role, which the title Key title is going to be this barbarian, swordswoman, and swordsman. So if I run this, we have barbarian, swordswoman, and swordsman. And let me do this up here. So I'm going to do print warrior. There you go. So just so we can see the difference. So when I do print warriors, I have a reference here. So I have the barbarian, the swordsman, the swordsman like I want it. So the next thing I want to do is, I want to get that name out, which is going to be the value. And same thing for the age. So I'm going to type this out. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put this in here kind of twice. So I don't want a new line, for this. We just want it to be the name. And I'm going to put a space in there, actually 2 spaces. And I'm going to say name, and then down here I'm going to do 2 spaces, and I'm going to do age. Okay? And now I have this kind of laid out. So when I do the key title, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to do the value. And the value is going to be from the name. Okay? Right like that. So then down here, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to want value, and we are going to want the age. Okay? Age. There we go. And take out this right there. Missing my quote. Okay, so I'm going to copy this one more time, and I'm going to put it down here. And it's going to be the same thing, but I'm going to do weapon. Okay? So I'm going to print out the weapons as well. Okay? So if I run this, oh, yeah, that's right. I have a dot there. I didn't need my dot. That's the problem with copy and pasting. Sometimes you forget to take something out. So if I run that now it looks nice. I got my barbarian named Conan, age 28, age sword, axe and daggers. And down here, swordswoman, Red Sonja, 21, and swordsman, Lord Calidor. Looking nice. So, but I really want my weapons to actually look nicer. Okay? So how would I do that? Well, I can sit there and take this and say, I just want to print weapons. So I just want to print weapons. Okay? Don't need the F string up there. But I do need to have my crouch properly. So if I run this, now it's going to print weapons. Okay? And you're like, wow, you just printed weapons. Well, I did. So why did I do that? Well, what I want to do now is I want to say for weapons, okay, and I want to say in, and our weapons were value weapons, right? So that's kind of where we're at, is values weapons, and weapons will have to be in the open close parentheses, right? And now if I go in here and say print, and then I'm going to do the F string, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces just to kind of help line up. And I'm going to put a dash in here, and then I'm going to say I want the weapons. Okay? And then close my little curly bracket out just like that. And then that looks right. Okay? So now if I run this, I'm going to go through here, and it should loop through all my weapons. Okay? So all my weapons should be looped through, so it should list out nice. So let's test that out. It says weapons not defined. So I'm just going to go up here and Let me see. C. Oh, I see. I see what we did. So I'm going to just make sure that I spell everything correctly. Copy this, and this should be weapon because I'm referencing this right here. Okay, so that weapon should be this weapon. And let's list this out. Let's run this. Boom. So now if I look at it, I have row barbarian, name Conan, age 28, weapons. We have the sword, axe, and daggers, and then we have the swordswoman, which we have her weapons, the sword, and then we have the swordsman, Lord Calador, and his weapons, the axe. So if I look at this, it's really simple as that. And going up here, this is the reason I put these in a list up here, because if I didn't put those in list, then this part wouldn't work because it's looking for a list of items. Okay, so getting your data dictionary to kind of display nicely is really simple as that. Alright, so I hope you learned something today. So just to kind of highlight that, we went over the data dictionaries, how to create a data dictionary, how to access data dictionaries, how to add and update items, how to remove items, and how to loop through the data dictionaries. So if you learned something, please leave it in the comments, or if I missed something, please add that in the comments as well, and I will catch you guys next time.